Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu from Upright Health, and in today's video we are going to be looking at a high hamstring stretch. It's a pretty interesting way of getting at your hamstrings. It can be really helpful for improving internal and external rotation in the hip joint, which we'll talk about, and is in general just really good at helping you loosen up after you've been sitting at a desk for a while. So I spent about 2 to 3 hours this afternoon sitting at a desk doing a whole bunch of different things for the upcoming 2016 New Year, and my hips are really stiff. And one of the ways I can see that stiffness is actually when I go down, I can actually feel the hip joints are just not they don't move as smoothly as they normally do. I actually will have limited, pretty obviously limited internal rotation. So in prep for this video, I actually just did a little extra stretching on my right than my left for like 10 seconds, and the right already feels a little bit better, but the left really feels jammed up. So this video is actually relevant for a couple people who have commented recently. We had Mike, who's an ice hockey goalie, a young kid who's, I think he's 16, who has limited external rotation and had some concerns about internal and external rotation. We get a lot of people actually asking about internal and external rotation improvements, and it's also relevant for people like Arnulfo Rosas, who commented on a video asking about a hamstring stretch. So hamstrings are super stubborn, and trying to improve internal rotation and external rotation can sometimes be very frustrating. One thing that I've found that has been very helpful for me in improving my internal rotation actually has to do with not stretching the lateral rotators, which conceptually one would think would make the biggest difference, but it has actually been addressing high medial hamstrings, as those seem to be the block point for me, and I've seen that on other people as well. So in any case, with the internal rotation, there are other issues that can affect that. I know you will not hear me often say bone shape will affect something, but it can, and especially with hip internal and external rotation, the position of your acetabula of the sockets can definitely provide a very clear limit to how much internal and external rotation you get. So for ice hockey goalies, you know, we talk about goalies having narrow butterflies, medium butterflies, or wide butterflies. It's basically the position I'm in right now. Right now, I'm at a fairly narrow butterfly because my hips are super tight from sitting all day and not doing a ton of stretching, and also since I played last night. But after we stretch, this actually improves quite a bit. So again, it's the high medial hamstrings that are just feeling like they get really bunched up and are limiting my internal rotation. So I'm going to do what's called a Bendy Cossacks stretch. So basically we're going to come down here. I'm on the toes of this foot. I've got this foot pulled back. I have this knee actually bent. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over with this hand. And if you kind of twist in like this actually gives you a little bit of a different stretch. I really like this variation too. Instead of just reaching over and coming in, you twist, so you're externally rotating the shoulder and supinating with the hand, and then you're grabbing like this, and then kind of falling into the side, just reaching over with your head and your chest over towards that foot. And where you get this stretch, depending on how you have your knee bent or not bent, you get a little bit higher, a little bit lower. When you have, I find there's a kind of a sweet spot, just a little bit of knee bend, too much and then you don't feel it, right? But just right in there, whoops, I start to get really nice stretch right up into the high medial hamstrings, and it feels delicious. So you can hang out in this position, you can pump the knee, meaning you can extend and bend like that. The other thing you can do is go ahead and bring the other hand across and bring your head towards your foot and chest down towards your knee. So then again playing with that knee position. So I actually need to be around here, so you can, hopefully you can see that. I have my knee with, I'd say roughly like 8 to 10 degrees of bend, and that's where I feel the most stretch up in the high hamstrings right now. So I can hang out here, extend my knee a little bit up, yep, so then I get some good stretching going on along the medial hamstrings. And then, yeah, so you can actually play around a little bit, find different angles, like right here, if I'm going this direction, I can feel a nice little stretch. And if you come even more forward, this is kind of like the kneeling adductor stretch that I've shown, I think, a number of times. I definitely talked about it in an FAI video. It's like a goalie stretch. You basically just come down like this and just have the toes up, and that gets that super good stretch. Now here, another variation that I like to do is to actually take the hand that's closest to this foot and then just reach over this way, and that adds a little bit of extra torque into my pelvis, right? Also into my thoracic spine, but that's basically dragging the pelvis into a rotation to the right, which is then helping stretch out the adductors and the medial hamstrings on my left leg a lot more. So I can hang out in here, let that stretch out, feel some things release. I can wiggle my foot over here, and I definitely feel, I can definitely feel that stuff up in the groin there, relaxing quite a bit, which is really nice. And then I'll come out of that, and then we can test again to see how that feels when I get my internal rotation. And now that feels, it feels unimpeded. It feels really nice on that left leg. So I'm not sure if you're able to see the improvement level on the internal rotation, but on this side I'm getting about 20 degrees. This side earlier was getting about 15 degrees. Now it's actually more internally rotated than this side. So this side I actually am getting, I'd say, another 3 to 5 degrees versus this side, and I don't feel the restriction in this left hip. No, there's no more tightness here, whereas on this side, when I'm internally rotating, it's all up in my high medial hamstring. So I'll just take you through again real quick so you can see. I'm just coming down onto these toes. I'm going to be grabbing here, so I've flipped supinated, and then I'm coming in to find that sweet spot. I'm not going to hold these stretches as long this time, so the result may not be as good as what we just saw. But I'm just going to hang out in here like this, find that sweet spot, switch hands. Unless you're an experienced stretcher, you're probably going to need to hold these things for a much longer period. Or, if your body happens to respond well and quickly to stretches, maybe you can get away with what I'm doing. I've been doing a lot of stretching, so my body generally learns pretty quickly, and these are stretches I've done before, so these things loosen. I get a lot of bang for my buck fairly quickly sometimes. Don't expect your body to loosen up as quickly as what you're seeing right now. And then, okay, so I've got that, and then just pad my knee a little bit more, keeping that out, and then I'm just going to come forward. This one, when I first did it, was really interesting because I could feel this stretch actually also in the lateral hamstring, which these days I don't feel so much, but definitely still get it into the medial, high medial hamstrings. So then when I go over this way, I can just keep trying to let that medial hamstring relax a little bit. And I'm not gonna wait too much longer on that, just a couple seconds just to see. I already felt it give, so now again I go into my internal rotation. Now both sides actually have improved, and I don't feel that tugging going on in the high medial hamstrings. Luckily I don't have too many days where I'm at a desk all day, but I definitely spend a ton of time at a computer working on different things to help spread the word, help you train better, help you train smarter, help you understand your body. So I do all those things, and there is a penalty to pay for my hips, so I also need to train well and stretch well. So now now you've seen a couple things that help, this stretch that can help with your internal rotation, can help with your hamstring flexibility, so I hope it helps you out, and I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.